on 1 year ago today, August 25th, in Fremont County, Colorado. And they kidnapped me out the side of the road, out of my mate's van, um, just simply for not providing an ID to them. And they trumped up on fabricated and conspired all kinds of charges, refused to investigate, and they put me in jail for 15 days. Kept me outside. After they let me go, they held me in bondage on $5,000 if I didn't return to the court, and with a failure to appear and a warrant for my arrest. Um, if I didn't come back after they had me for 15 days. So anyway, they injured me. I was injured with mold poisoning, and by the handcuffs, they made me walk in shackles 3 times in that jail experience. I'm trying to get all the discovery of the times I tried to report this to the sheriff there, to the magistrates, to the chaplains, to the doctors there, especially the doctors. And I sent out communications to them. Only 2 of them responded, the sheriff telling me, get a lawyer, and the doctors, they just wanted to examine me. I only contacted them so they would witness my injuries. I had no one else to do so in there. The same thing with the chaplain, only to witness my story. So they're not allowing me that discovery. But anyway, we're still trying to get it. And so I had done a lot of recovery on this hand in particular. They held me in the handcuffs and excessively cinched them down, both of them, injured both of my wrists this time. I still have, 1 year later, other pain and conditions and sensations now in both of my hands. I still have, yes, I still can't bend my fingers. They're much stiffer since they, and much clumsier and way, I can't do any of the things I could do after I recovered and did all the things that I did, in up until 2022. From 2018, 2019 to 2022, you can see all the evidence, and I have witnesses of all the things that I did: taking care of a community, cutting up vegetables, growing gardens, painting houses, taking care of animals, doing laundry, all these types of things. And playing music, not as well as before, but enough to entertain. And I even buskered my way across the country from California to Colorado for gas money with my guitar after this hand was injured. So I was able to support myself to some degree before the police injured me. And there's lots of evidence of that. There's videos, there's social media. I've documented everything along the way. So around 2018 or 19, I had an episode with mold in my RV, and that almost killed me, and I was very, very sick, and I had to change my whole lifestyle to an antifungal diet, which I researched for years. I still do. I'm still finding things that I didn't know before. But one of the things that I knew before was about citric acid and how it is synthesized from Niger asperilla, or maybe it's the other way around, which is black mold. And the FDA approves it for babies even. And yes, it's everywhere. It's in all these foods, citric acid. They use it to clean your toilet tank. It's just out there everywhere, in household products and in the food and everywhere. And it is black mold. And I have read enough to know how dangerous this is on university studies and all kinds of things, but not just citric acid, but black mold itself, and what this causes, the kind of dementia and joint pain and brain fog and tinnitus like symptoms and lethargia and skin conditions and all kinds of things. In my case, when I was in that jail for 15 days, and I immediately complained about it. Um, I did not eat their food for the first 3 days, I believe. I tried to hold out as long as I could, or drink their water, because I know it to be. I'd already read the water statistics there in that county, that has lead and arsenic and fluoride in it, to say the least, probably chlorine. Um, and other stuff is probably in there. Um, but those things were not at good levels. And so I already knew this to be, and I tried not to drink their water. But I ended up eating their food and drinking their water. I did not drink the Kool-Aid that they handed out with almost every meal in there, but girls would line up to get that Kool-Aid from me and the main ingredient was citric acid, and it was like they were really addicted to it. I think it was just the only thing that they had that was kind of like getting a treat. They wouldn't give them any fresh fruit or anything good at all, just really rotten food that you wouldn't feed to a cockroach. But let's get back to the injuries. So that was part of my injury also that I complained to them about, and I'm trying to get the discovery over the mold issues in the jail. I had one of the inmates tell me he witnessed through the window them replacing, the repairman replacing the filters for the vents. She could see them doing this, and when they pulled the vents out, they were full of mold. She could visibly see this. So, she's not an expert witness. I can't use that in court or whatever. But I am documenting that and stating that now. Her name was Jessica. And also, so now I have these conditions since they cinched the cuffs down on me excessively tight a second time when they were kidnapping me. Just minutes later, after they already double locked the cuffs, they cinched them down, and they left them on me for an hour while they drugged me to the hospital to have them checked for tightness. The hospital, of course, is not going to say that they would loosen the cuffs, because then that would be admitting they put them on too tight, and they don't want any lawsuits or be involved in that. So they're going to go along with the police and just say no, they're not too tight, and we were able to slip a finger up through them, but they did not. And I don't know, I couldn't even feel my hands at the time, but I could pretty much, or see them because they were handcuffed behind my back, but I can pretty much contend that she did not slip a finger in between them, that she could not, that they were too tight to do that, unless she like squeezed it in there, just the tip of it or something, and pushed my arm in enough to squeeze her finger in there. That's it. But if she did, I couldn't even feel it. That's how numb my hands were. So, and they were purple, and they were just completely numb and in pain at that point. And I was still in handcuffs for maybe an hour more. And you can see them on film jerking me out of the car and jacking me around, and at the jail, or at the hospital, where they tried to ID me and forced my hands in cuffs. You can see two officers roughing me, trying to, just yanking on my arms and stuff, and then gaslighting me, telling me I was doing it, and that they would loosen the cuffs if I would just tell them what they want to hear in a nutshell. And you can see that on the videos. And so you should see all of the whole playlist of all the body cams, the court hearings, and me telling my story on Remedy Report, and everything is all in the playlist on Earthica Star YouTube, and it's in the playlist called Star False Arrest playlist. So now my hands are way more injured. I'm back to square one. Ever since this happened 1 year ago, I have been extremely clumsy. I've hardly been able to hold onto a handrail going down the stairs, and my hips are almost practically displaced. My knee is completely out of whack, and walking in shackles, injured, just set off all these old injuries that I rehabilitated myself for many years, and I've been so careful not to re-injure myself. And it was just like they just brought me back to square one after all the work I've done and therapy I've done to get better and to work and take care of myself. And I just worked in the system for free. I mean, out of the system for free. I've been out of the system since 2015. I don't even exist on paper in any capacity. I rescinded every instrument of identification and everything back then. So now I've just recontracted under duress, so I can see these doctors, and we'll let the government pay for it, for their own demise, to go after the people who injured me. We'll have their doctors be the experts on what is happening now and determine what was prior and what is since. Because my word, I can tell you, but it's my word against theirs and the whole world. And it gives me with such a huge burden of proof. And it's not very strong in a jury, although in an injury case, in a civil injury case, the burden of proof is not the same as in like a criminal case or something. It doesn't have to, the evidence does not have to represent beyond a shadow of a doubt. In fact, their law says that it only has to be 51% of beyond any doubt. So it only has to be 51% convincing for it to be true in a civil injury type case. So just my word alone, if the jury chooses to listen to me, if I didn't even have doctors, which I haven't had the ability in any way, not the communication, the transportation, the means, or the resources, since this happened 1 year ago, to see a doctor. And don't typically go to those types of doctors at all, ever. So not in many, many years anyway. So, so of course their burden is going to be on me to, well, why didn't you report it to anybody? Well, I did. I reported it to everybody while I was in the jail, and they're not giving me that discovery. And that's, I made them take pictures, but they wouldn't even take pictures. Only one photograph of my wrists when the cuffs came off and stuff like that. So I'm telling you now, and I'm documenting this, that this hand is extremely injured. Both of my thumbs feel like they're dislocated. Both of my hands are seizing up on me. They're extremely clumsy playing piano. They cannot do crossovers on the piano, like thumb under or middle finger over, successfully. I have to go way, way slower, and still I get tripped up. And it's very painful, just even putting that much pressure on the piano keys and articulating your fingers like this shoots pain up my arms, both of them, makes my hands want to seize up and cramp, so I can't play for very long. I certainly couldn't support myself doing that. And the same thing with guitar. I can, after I recovered as much as I could with this 2017 injury on my right hand, and it took me a couple of years to relearn to play guitar. I could never claw the guitar like this because these fingers will not bend like that. Only do this. They're kind of stiff. So I relearned a new way to play the guitar. Still, it's very painful just to even get my arm this position. I can feel it right now without even holding it over the guitar. This pain shooting down my shoulders, and my fingers start to just go numb on me, or they start to cramp very quickly. Something happened to the fingertips where they were like electrical shock in them, almost like a bruised feeling. So even pressing down the strings with this hand is very uncomfortable. Sometimes sends a shock sensation into my fingertips, and And then both hands on the top, mostly these two fingers now and the thumb, um, are still numb and hypersensitive and very, very clumsy. Um, so many things, little simple things that I have trouble doing now, and it just causes me a lot of great pain, but I have to do them anyway, like wash my hair, wash dishes, cook, cut, maybe cut fruit up or something, um, vacuum, just little things, lifting the shade, going up and down stairs. A lot of things are very, very difficult for me. Um, Very difficult to exercise. I've also been, so like I said, I finally got on government benefits and went back and got an identification so that I can use those benefits and whatever. I know they're all fiction. I don't want to hear or talk about that really. If that's your only focus and that's where you're going to go with it, just forget about it. You know, I've told people these things for years. Now I'm forced to do this. I'm 67 years old now, and I just cannot take care of myself with these injuries and hold them accountable and do what I need to do, get the materials and supplies and resources I need to actually take them to task. So that's what I'm doing, and that's my focus. And if they're listening, I want you to know that you injured me. You have no business being in a position of power and carrying guns and not knowing even your own decrees and acting under a presumption of law, which is acting under color, which means you're impersonating an officer and um, you have no immunity in that instance. So you should step down. And um, this is really my, what I say, I'm not your boss, but I'm warning you to step down right now, today. If you're watching this, you need to just back out, go find yourself a landscaping job or, wash cars, do something honorable, okay? Uh, Stop going around injuring people, pretending to be a peace officer because you don't even know the laws that you purport to have taken an oath to. And you violated the people's rights and their lives, and you pillaged and robbed them and injured and killed. Many of them were in cold blood. Yeah, I'm still extremely injured, extremely clumsy, unable to support myself using my hands, which is what I've always done as a chef, a gardener, and landscaper, painter, refinisher, musician, all of these things. So, yeah, I'm going to hold you accountable. And I'll see all the doctors I can. One last thing, we've been inundated with fires out here in California, Northern California, deep in the forest. The roads are closed to get in and out of here. The hospital is an hour and a half away, with road delays, and I haven't been able to get through, even to get to doctors. The last couple of weeks, had to cancel appointments, and I have to depend on the senior benefits to get a ride to the doctors, from the tribe here, who, so yeah, it's very complicated, and just to even get to a doctor and to get the ball rolling, and much less, do like 10 doctor visits, get lab work, go to therapists. There's also a natural healing arts center in the same town, so I might be able to do both one day, see get some tests done and get some therapy, or kill two birds with one stone. Anyway, I'm working on it and putting it all together, doing as much writing as I can, researching, learning, reading other people's cases, helping other people with their cases, um, finding the violations and so forth that apply to them, and also reaching out to media, social media everywhere, especially the people who are the auditors and cop watchers and stuff like that, to share these stories, keep them up in the light so people can keep holding them accountable, and making these people behave and stop injuring people and getting away with it. So we have to do this ourselves. We are the media now. We are, we the people are the jury and the judge. And we're going to make the case for all these various cases, not just my own. We're going to start doing this high profile, we the people media. And that's the way it's going to go. The news, the mainstream, is a dinosaur. Nobody cares about you anymore. And same with the courts. And same with government. And same with money. We don't want you anymore. And we're finding different ways to get remedy and to survive and to have abundance and create solutions. And that's what we're going to look at next. And I'll see you when we talk about that soon. Thanks for listening, and please share and like and share my playlist on Earthica Star False Arrest. Thank you.